back with another episode of PSSITA. I'm Cory, one of the owners of the Rollin Humidor, and I'm here with my PSSITA partner, Mike Frazier, and we have a special guest today. The guest today is the one and only Rex Ryan. Man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Anytime you can smoke cigars, drink a little bourbon, and talk some football, let's go.
Man, that's good, man. What would you like to add into this today, Mike?
So I want to let everybody know, to introduce our guest, he is a former NFL coach and the son of legend Buddy Ryan. He's been an assistant coach for 22 years, spanning from the Arizona Cardinals, the Cincinnati Bearcats, the Oklahoma Sooners, and also the Baltimore Ravens, which he won a Super Bowl in 2000. He's also with the New York Jets as a head coach from 2009, which was his first time, where he led them to back-to-back AFC Championship games. And also, he was the coach for the Buffalo Bills from 2015 to 16. Currently, he is an analyst for ESPN for the NFL. So,
Yep.
First thing is first, Rex, glad to have you here. We always want to toast.
Yeah, let's
with
do
some
it.
nice bourbon called Reverence. So,
Appreciate you.
how'd it taste?
You know how I feel about this. You and I were talking before the show about like, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because if you've never had this, man, put us side by side with Blanche. I'm a huge Blanche guy, and I'm like, damn, dude, like that reminds me of Blanche.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm telling you. So it's, but if you've never tried this, man, go. I would say go ahead and try it, man. And put it right next to Blanche because. I mean, I love blends. I don't know if the rest of the audience does, but man, I tell you, put this thing out there, I'm like, dang, shoot, this is legit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, man, to start off, let's break the ice, man. Let's talk about your journey and going to football and the sport of football.
Yeah. All right. Well, my thing is this. I played college football at Oklahoma.
Okay.
Southwest Oklahoma, man. Because right away when I said I played at Oklahoma, everybody's like, damn, that dude was bad. No, dude, the only school that gave me a scholarship was some little tiny school in Oklahoma. And I always say, man, a lot of guys missed on me. But
Exactly.
but I needed to play at that level. I wasn't a great player by any stretch of the imagination. But I went out there. I loved it. I was smart, tough, pretty physical as a player and things like that. But I was actually a better baseball player. But I knew I wanted to coach football.
Yeah.
So I figured, I would go play football, and that would help me down the road being a football coach. So that's kind of what I did, and so that's how I started. I met my wife there, been married for 37 years.
Okay.
2 kids, and one of them's a coach in the NFL right now.
Uh-huh.
Seth, he's with the Detroit Lions. He's coaching the league. This will be his 8th season.
Okay.
And he just turned 30, so he's one of them fast trackers.
Oh, yeah.
Played at Clemson, won a national championship there. So the only thing is he's a damn offensive coach, so he's obviously out of the will, right? Yeah. No way in hell that kid's in the will. But that's pretty much it. And then I coached small college football for 8 years.
Uh-huh.
And then, it's funny because no Division I school would give me a chance. I sent letters, resumes, everything else to every Division I school, not one reply.
Wow.
And I'm sitting back going, damn, but I just figured I just keep working my ass off. I've never had a bad job in my life.
Yeah.
And that's so because I love coaching. I love being around, the kind of young men that play the game. Yeah. They're special. These dudes are special because, to me, this is one of the only sports, one of the only things you can do really that takes courage to do. Yeah. And to me, courage is not, this dude's crazy. Courage to me is you're scared, but you go anyway. Right. And there's very few things you can do, on a playing field. It's like, you can play basketball all you want. Who gives a shit? It's like, all right. Yeah, fuck anybody can play basketball. But you run down on a damn kickoff, and you see about courage, what it takes. And to me, there's so much to be gained by it. The greatest team sport there is. But I just love it. I got a great passion for this game. Been around it all my life. But that's kind of how I started. 8 years small college, coached at Eastern Kentucky University, Morehead State, New Mexico Highlands. I had one kid over 6 foot tall, and one kid ran under a 5 flat and a 40. They spoke English, a lot of them, as their second language. So that was an experience. Eastern Kentucky, I thought I was a freaking great coach. I coached under a legendary guy named Roy Kidd. He's had over 400 wins in college. Back then it was 1AA, and we were probably one of the best 1AA schools in the country.
Yeah.
I think we had 8 kids played in the National Football League off of those teams. And I was coaching defensive ends, and I coached 2 of them. One a first-round pick, a guy named Aaron Jones, and one a second-round pick named Jesse Small. And literally I'm like, well, hell yeah, I'm a freaking man. I'm a great coach. Yeah. I had no idea it was those kids. Those kids were great freaking players. Yeah. It helped me, as a coach. But either way, that's kind of how I got my start. And then one day, I'll never forget it, because I'm telling my dad, I go, shit, like nobody will hire us.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody, and I go, Dad, if you don't hire us, nobody will. So you're going to have to hire us. And my dad was coaching with the Houston Oilers at the time. All right, obviously, great success as a coordinator, head coach in Philly. But he goes back in the league to become a head coach again. So he takes the job with the Houston Oilers. And as a defense coordinator, they won 11 straight games. The number 1 defense in the league, which is no surprise being a Ryan. Yeah. But he's more famous or infamous, if you will, for punching one of his own assistants on the sideline. So this is the last game. They shut out the Jets, all right? The Jets needed to go in the playoffs. The Oilers still shut them out.
Right.
But my dad's like, you dumb mother, because the guy's an idiot. They got a backup quarterback in there. This guy named Kevin Gilbride. Dad called him Kevin Gildum. But anyway, it's like, dude, what are you doing? There's a minute left. They're already up like 17-0,
right.
And homeboy doesn't want to go in at halftime up 17-0 playing at home. Instead, he's going to try to get more points. Sack, fumble. Dad calls him a junior high coach or whatever, and then ends up punching him. So when he did it, I'm watching. It's like on a Monday night, and I'm like, oh, there goes my chance. Because my dad said he's going to hire us. Going to hire me and my twin brother. Yeah. And talk about nepotism. I don't give a shit if you want to talk about it or not, because I know one thing: we were the best defense in the league the next year when we were there. So people can go kiss my ass. But it's true. That's what it was, and that's what it took for me to actually get a chance to coach at a higher level. Yeah. I never once stopped believing in my abilities as a football coach or anything else, but it took 8 years, before I actually got that chance. And then when we got the chance, I also got the chance to get fired for the first time in Arizona. So after 2 years, they fire us. And then I ended up going to University of Cincinnati. And I coached under a guy named Rick Minner. We went to a bowl game for the first time in 50 years at the University of Cincinnati. And back then, it wasn't like these games now where, toilet bowl, you go 500, you get in there. We won 9 games. I think we were 9-2. And obviously I think we had the 4th rated defense in the country one year, and maybe the 12th or 8th or something like that one year. But, and we beat the hell out of whoever they put in front of us defensively. Had a few NFL players on that team as well. But that kind of put my name out there. Yeah. As, hey, this dude ain't just about Buddy Ryan. Yeah. He's about Rex Ryan. Yeah. And then I go to Oklahoma, inherited a defense that was 93rd in the league. We went to 6th in the country in 1 year and played 6 true freshmen. So that was a pretty good accomplishment under a guy named John Blake. He was a great man who just passed away. But it's funny, all through those things you learn different stops along the way. You're always learning. I always was. And I never once say, oh, I knew it all because I'm the son of Buddy Ryan. I know the 46 defense. Yeah, but you don't know shit about the 46 defense. Like, you can't buy experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And every stop along the way, I never stopped learning.
Yeah.
And those are things. You pick up little pieces from different situations. I tell you what I picked up from John Blake. John Blake, I thought I was a hell of a recruiter. All right? John Blake was Barry Switzer's main recruiter at Oklahoma. And everybody said, oh, he's a bag man. Bullshit. John Blake knew how to damn recruit. And I'll give you 2 great examples, all right? First one, we go in, we're going to make a home visit. Yeah. He goes, just second, freak. He called everybody freak. Or maybe it's just me. Opens up a trash can. Looks in there, all right? Walk into the family, and the dad goes, hey, would you like a beer? John goes, well, to be honest with you, I'm pretty particular in what I drink beer-wise. I only drink Pabst Blue Ribbon out of the can. No freaking way. That's what I drink, dude. That's what I drink. Yeah. So that's a different level on recruiting, all right? Immediately ties in, you know, with the dad and everything else. Another one was great. I'll give you another great example of John Blake. It's something I learned a long time ago. He goes, you know, we're sitting back picking up a junior college kid and recruiting him, and man, he's got him in the car. He's kicked back, got the tunes going, doing all this type of stuff, and playing all this kid, you know, stuff, whatever. We go in the next time. Oh, by the way, we stopped at a little gas station, convenience store. He comes out with a bucket of chicken, and John Blake's like 450 pounds. Yeah. All right. Big man. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. All right. No, shit, dude, go in. They're selling chicken in here. You get your own chicken. I go, you're going to eat this whole freaking bucket. You got to be out of your mind. Yeah. John's like, no, shit. So I go and get my own chicken. Yeah. John eats the whole damn bucket of chicken. But anyway, we go into this house, this high school kid, we're recruiting him. And as we're walking up, there's like a big cross in the front of the house. And then all through, you open the door, and you see crosses, you see, you know. Yeah. Picture of Christ and things, and John goes, hey, before we do anything, can we just pray? And we got down on a knee and started praying. I'm like, this mother. Yeah. Like, oh my God. Yeah. He could flip it for anything he wanted to. He's a beautiful man, but man, the damnedest recruiter you ever see. Yeah. Okay. Like, phenomenal. Yeah.
But, let me ask one thing, you know, because I think we touched on it right before we got started today.
Does anybody have a light? Because I got to light this bad boy up. Get a light somewhere.
I got you.
There we go. You know,
but hey, I'm there.
Deal, but I appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you.
One of the things that I wanted to ask, I know I asked this question right before we got started. I never had the opportunity to play football because of my frame. I'm a small guy.
You ain't the biggest dude of all time, Cory.
Right. But what was that feeling like when you come out of that tunnel?
Oh, man. See, that's part of the thing I miss the most. I miss that adrenaline rush you get in there. Yeah. And, you know, I always felt good going into a game. I never thought that I was ever overmatched. No, I was, you know, at times. Right. But I was like, oh, hell no, man, this is going to be a fight today. Yeah. Like, that's how you enter the arena. Yeah. Like, man, let's go. And I knew we had prepared, and I believed in my guys. Yeah. But it was like, all right, let's go. And I'll never forget, Muhammad Ali, he had a saying, he had a million sayings, but one of them was, I'm going to show you how great I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was me. Yeah. Right. I knew I was a damn good coach. Yeah. And I couldn't wait to show you and put it on you. And that was it. So when we walk out of there, it's like, man, there's everything. It's hard to explain, Cory, because you got the butterflies going, you got all this adrenaline, and it's almost like, you know, I'm here to kick the living shit out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the mentality that I had, and I couldn't wait. And to this day, I've been out of coaching for 7 years. To this day, that's one of the things I miss most about not coaching. Okay. You know. Obviously still involved in the game, but that, you know, the camaraderie you have in the locker room, all that type of stuff, you know, you can't get in most professions, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Talk about, you was on the Super Bowl winning team with the Ravens. Yeah. Talk about the culture that y'all had in Baltimore and the day-to-day focus y'all had, because That's probably arguably one of the greatest defenses in NFL history.
Yeah.
So part of that. Talk about that team.
Okay, it is, Mike. I tell you, it was funny. We went in, so that was our second year in Baltimore. Brian Billick was the head coach. He hired me, Marvin Lewis was already there. And they had a lot of struggles defensively until we got there, okay? But either way, I was the defensive line coach. I had some really good players, but they thought they were all done.
Yeah.
So when I came in there, they're like, shit, we got one player on that D-line. Mm-hmm. 1.5, because you got a little crazy-ass pass rusher, too. But they let the good player go.
Right,
My first year. This guy, and I forget the kid's name, but he ended up going to Detroit, and I'm sitting back going, I got this big fat nose tackle that gets reached every single play named Tony Siragusa. Uh-huh. Then I got, a guy named Larry Webster who never started. I had a guy named Rob Burnett who played like 8-9 years in the league, and they said he was done, and had this Michael McCrary at defensive end. And I'm like, all right. And they knew that we were supposed to be the wink link, and I'm like, shit. And I told them from jump, I go, I'm gonna work the dog shit out of you, but we're gonna be the strength of this fucking team. And we ended up being the strength of this team. In fact, when you look at that 2000 Raven defense, we broke the all-time record in points allowed. Everybody knows that. So when you include the playoffs, we gave up less than 10 points a game. All right. We also gave up the fewest rushing yards in the history of the game, average per carry and total. And by the way, look at the backs we faced. Eddie George, all right? Now, these guys we played twice. Eddie George, Jerome Bettis, the great back in Jacksonville, Fred Taylor, all right? And then we had the Bengals, I think, had Corey Dillon. We had all these great backs. And guess what? Every one of them had a running quarterback, and they count against your rushing things. So Pittsburgh had Cordell Stewart at the time. Mark Brunell was in Jacksonville. Like, every one of these dudes had running quarterbacks, and they had, Steve McNair with Tennessee. Like, they had, and it's like, oh, really? But that's how dominant this damn defensive line was. And our secret, here's the craziest thing. Like, what's our secret? Well, number one, being able to identify the right position for the players. Mm-hmm. So Tony Siragusa, when I came in from day one, I'm like, this is a natural left-handed stance player. So I play him at right defensive tackle. I never just played him at nose tackle. I played him at right defensive tackle because he naturally comes out of a left-handed stance. And then I played Larry Webster, and I had a guy named Lionel Dalton. And then later we had Sam Adams. But either way, I'm like, all right, that's it. Tony was like 400 pounds, okay? But he was a dancing bear. Like, he was an all-state wrestling heavyweight champ in New Jersey. And I don't know if people realize that about the Goose. And in his weight class, they had 8 NFL players that were in his weight class in New Jersey. He beat them all. And the last one he beat was a guy named Dave Zott, who later was my director of player development with the Jets.
Right.
And he, to this day, is madder than hell. He wrestled and played at Penn State, and he got beat by Siragusa, drove him crazy. And Goose like, I'll never wrestle you again. Why? I've already beat you. But either way, he was a gifted athlete, a big, huge dude, but he was still an athletic guy. But I tell you, and I stole this from Vince Lombardi, who my dad stole it from. My dad would watch the Green Bay Packers. And he'd be like, what's the difference between the Green Bay Packers under Vince Lombardi and every other team? And what it was is they did up-downs. They literally did up-downs. And so I'm like, well, we're going to do up-downs. Mm-hmm. And what we would do, I would do the up-downs with my guys. I wouldn't do them, but I would count them off. We would do 40 up-downs every day in practice, right before we went to the most taxing part of the day. And so they're already tired. And we're going to go to 9-on-7 or whatever, an inside drill. And my guys are tired. Look, anybody whip some team's ass when you're fresh.
Right.
But can you do it when you're tired? Yeah. Well, my guys would do those up downs, and then we go whip the offense's ass in the most taxing part of the day. My guys were in shape. I don't care what they look like. They were in damn shape. Mm-hmm. And we would play not just for the first quarter. We played for all 4 and give you hell. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it was. Best player I ever coached in my life was Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was more than just the best middle linebacker that, in the history of the game. Yeah. He was also the best defensive leader I've ever seen. Yeah. This dude was the best. And when I was coordinator for many years, later, if we were having a practice that would drag, because sometimes you're not up for everything.
Right.
I'd be like, Ray, this ain't to our standards. Yeah. I wouldn't have to say shit to the team. Ray would go, let's go. 11 guys hit the ball. Get to the ball. Boom, tag off. Every day in practice. We never had a bad day in practice. Like, we might have had one dragging, but that's not how it finished. And our second defense would beat the hell out of our offense too. So every single day, it never mattered. Because our standard, when I put in there, I go, I'll never forget, I used to talk about setting the standard. Because they say, Marvin was great. He'd give you a chance to talk to the team, in the defense. And I always talked about setting a standard. Right. What is going to be our standard? We're going to lead this fucking league in run defense. We're going to lead this league in defense, whatever it was, okay? Well, we're going to practice to that standard every day. And that's what we did in Baltimore. That's what I did with my entire career. Okay. I tried to put that in there. Because hard work, man, you can be the most talented team in the league, but if you ain't willing to push it, you ain't willing to be at your very best and work your ass off, you're going to get passed. And that's it. Why do some of the greatest defense? You talk about some of the greatest defenses in the history of the game. If you take 5 of the top 10 defenses in the history of the game, Ryan was the coach for them. So whether it was my dad, obviously, and then I actually have 3 of them. So one is head coach with the Jets, and then 2 is in Baltimore. One is coordinator and D-line coach.
To this day, do you still keep in contact with Ray?
A little bit.
Okay.
We don't talk much, but it's funny. When we see each other, it's like we never left.
Never left, right.
You know what I mean? And I never want to take advantage of my relationship with any player.
Right.
And Ray especially. But he knows if he ever needed me, I'm there. And I know if I ever needed him, he'd be there.
Right.
And that's just, that's it. We were there for each other. Ray went through, obviously a horrendous time. With that bullshit he went through in Atlanta. But when he came in the building, I was actually the first guy he saw. And he knew he was going to be all right. Yeah. Because of the way, and it's strange, me and a guy named Matt Stover, he talks about it, that as soon as he saw it, he knew he was going to be all right. And it's funny, but I never knew it was anything. We all knew Ray.
Right.
We all knew it was bullshit, But either way, he was there for me when I needed him, and vice versa.
I'm going to go to an isolated event. I want to say it's in that same season. It's the playoffs here in Nashville, I believe. And y'all played the Titans, and it was like a blue and black game. Like, probably one of the hardest hitting games I've seen. I'm probably 10 years old at the time. I'm like, damn, they hitting hard. Yep. Talk about that game and like what was the preparation and like in that moment, like the magnitude of how y'all saw Tennessee. Titans.
We knew Tennessee was physical as hell.
Yeah.
Eddie George was a great back.
Yeah, and that was the year after they went to the Super Bowl, the Titans.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not. It might be. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I think you're right, though. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. But either way, we'd have battles. Mm-hmm. And I remember they had convinced Eddie George that the media was driving at that, he doesn't play the same against the Baltimore Ravens. And, well, I got news for you. Ain't nobody played the same against the Baltimore Ravens. But Eddie George is a damn competitor.
Yeah.
Friggin' stud.
Yeah.
But they got him all juiced up, all dialed up. We were getting the best out of Eddie George. We were getting his damn best, I can assure you. Yeah. And he was ripping us now. He was ripping us early in that game. I think he had 90 yards at halftime.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. We went 50 straight games, by the way, without giving up a 100-yard rusher. 50 straight in Baltimore. Okay? But you know what? Eddie never had 100 that game either. So we were hitting him with every damn thing we had. Yeah. And he was a stud, though. I had much love and respect for him. But no, he never got it. It's the ironic thing about that game, we ended because Ray They throw a pass to Eddie, he ends up taking the ball from him. The ball's a little behind, and Ray comes out, rips it, and runs for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's how we beat him. And then going to the Super Bowl. We thought that game was the Super Bowl. Whoever won that game was going to win the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
Because the Super Bowl, y'all beat the shit out the Giants.
Beat the shit out of the Giants, beat the shit out of the Raiders. We knocked Gannon out of the game, set, match. It was over. But that's how we thought about Tennessee, and we had some great games. I'll never forget, we had a game on a Monday night. It was either Sunday night or Monday night. I think it was a Monday night. And they get the ball on a 6-inch line. Mm-hmm. And they snap the ball, to hurry up. They had to kill it because nobody had time to get back. So they reset the ball. That one play. They got one play from the 6-inch line.
Wow.
And we're sitting back there, and I'll never forget this one. And we're playing in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Everybody in the stadium knows what's going to happen. You got Steve McNair, one of the baddest men on the planet, by the way.
Yeah.
I love Steve. He played for us for a couple of years in Baltimore. One of my favorite guys. God rest his soul. But he's down on the 6-inch line. We know he's going to run quarterback sneak, and the game's over. Ain't nobody stopping. We stopped it. All right? But there's a little trick to that story.
Uh-huh.
So there's a thing called backsetting. And basically what you do, you mimic the cadence. Yeah. Said, hut! Things like that. So when they're getting in it, red 80. And then Saragusa said, hut! So what happened, the center doesn't flinch because it's not Steve saying hut. Yeah. Everybody else jumps. So we move. When they move, we move. Then they get the ball up. He gets the ball up here. He backwards, game over. We run off the damn field. They're bitching and all that type of stuff. But before that thing happened, Tony goes to me. Goose is like, Rex, I'm going to backset him. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, game's online. You don't do it, it's penalty. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, okay. And I'll be damned if he didn't do it. And we ran off that damn field with a victory.
Because if I'm not mistaken, that was it ended up being a night game, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Monday night game, I believe.
Yep. Actually, I was there. Yeah. I was there for that game. I remember that. We got our tail beat.
And it was right there.
Let me ask this question. I know this is something that, well, not more so a question. This is more on the cigar piece.
All right.
I remember we were talking a couple of days back, and you were like, hey, I was like, what's your favorite cigar? And you said a Byron.
Yeah.
So I had to look into it. And so when I found it, I was like, let me try this. Let me see what he's talking about. I was like, holy shit, this is a great smoke.
Unbelievable, man. And that's what's so funny. And to this day, I cuss the dude out that gave me my first Byron because it was so damn good. And then when you see the price of them, now you know why I cuss.
Yes.
Because it's like at least $30 a stick.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But oh my God, dude, it's. And I'm not sure. Like I think it's like. I'm not even sure what the wrapper and everything else. I think it's Nicaraguan or whatever, but I'm not sure of what's in there because they really don't post it.
They don't put it out.
They don't put it
Because
out
I tried
there.
to look into it.
Yeah, and so I think the insides is like a Cuban cigar, but then they have like a Nicaraguan wrapper or something like that. But if you've never had one, don't blame me because you will want this damn cigar.
Yes.
And I've given it to some other people, and they'd be like, "Man, dude, it's so like it's so good that like my buddy goes, I need to think I need to brush my teeth before I go to bed. Like this thing is like this just it's great, man. But that's my favorite.
Okay,
there's
so
no doubt.
so Byron, if you're out there and you see this podcast, the Rollin Humidor would love to carry that brand, please.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a good one, and then I smoke these Olivas every day.
Yeah.
So like I'll smoke some Olivas, and I actually like a lighter cigar than some. I remember I used to have the Ashtons and things like that, and they're good. What are that, Cabaret or what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are really good. And then that 3-letter one, VG, whatever that thing is, we used to call it the Velvet Hammers. All right, they'll knock your ass out. You know what I mean? And you think you're smoking something else, but anyway, that's a different story.
How long you been smoking?
Probably 20 years.
Yeah, I'm only like probably less than 10 years in the game.
Yeah.
But once I started coming to different lounges in the city, you know, I was like, man, this is great. It's a great place just to go out and, you know, just unwind after work, or just to watch sports, you know. So, but one of the things I learned when I became a member here at the Red Phone booth, one of the old managers was like, you know, we don't care what economical background you come from, you know, poor, rich, whatever. You know, everyone's in here for the same thing, and that's to smoke a good stick.
Yeah.
And ever since then, that's the way I carry myself. I don't care where you come from, you know, because it's funny because I've been trying to reach out to a couple of folks that are in your camp to see about having you on. And I was like, well, I see them all the time, especially on Thursdays.
Yeah.
You know, but I was like, when you come to a lounge, you're not trying to be bothered. So that one time about 3 weeks ago, I was like, Mr. Ryan, you know, I'm such and such. I'd love to have you on the podcast. And you were genuinely like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no problem. And you know, it's funny you mentioned that because when my wife and I always go out, you know, once a week, twice a week or something like that. And she likes the smell of the cigars. You know, she won't smoke the cigars or anything, but she goes out there, and you're right. We have like our own little group. You know, so now there's like damn 20 of us that we hang out. We're all buddies, and you know, and I mean, here's the beauty of it. It almost reminds me a little bit of an NFL locker room, because NFL locker rooms are made up of everybody.
Right.
You know, everybody's got their own religious beliefs. They've got, you know, there's some married, some single, some married that act single. There's fat, skinny. They're all different. You know, hey, here's an African American. Here's Polynesian. Here's, you know, white guy. Here's this guy. It makes no difference.
Right.
And there's no, your political views. Everybody's are different. In fact, some of my best friends over there, like, you know, I'm a Republican. Everybody gives me shit because I supported Trump. I introduced him and all that stuff when he came out to Buffalo. But I don't know shit about politics. I really don't. Right. You know, I just know he was really good to me, and he was really good to my players and stuff like that.
You had a relationship with him.
Yeah. And so my relationship's different than his with maybe everybody else's.
Right.
But you know, and then but one of my buddy's kids is like one of the biggest guys of the Democratic Party, and we don't care.
Right.
And we're just like, nobody cares. Nobody takes offense. Like you got. That's the beauty of our country. You're gonna, when you're in that privacy of that voting booth, you vote whoever the hell you want
to. Right.
And everybody's got different things. Look, hey, you know, we can kid ourselves. I want tax cut the Republican Party. I don't care if somebody gives me a flat tax of 10% across the board. I don't care what if they're Democrat, they're Republican. I don't care. I'll vote for them because that's going to affect me.
Right.
But literally, how, you know, that's up to you and things. But I never look like here's the way I grew up, and this is what I would always talk to my players about. Just respect the differences and respect everybody's views and opinions.
Right.
And even though they might be far different than yours. Yeah. But that's the beauty and of a locker room. But in our environment, when we go to the cigar things, we see every walk of life,
right.
every you know, color, whatever, gender, it makes no difference. We're out there hanging out, and we're enjoying each other's company and enjoying a smoke and a drink, and you know, that's why I enjoy it. That's why I don't go to the bars. I go to the cigar bars.
Right,
Red Phone Booth. I'm a member here. I go to different ones that we know about.
Yes.
You know, so that's what it is, and we enjoy it. You know, we come out and you know, most people are local. They're from this area. But
right.
We're implants. We ever since I got fired from Buffalo. Yeah. For 7 years now, this is home, and will always be home for the rest of our life.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I know you said something about being implanted and things of that nature when you were working for the league, but this is one thing that kind of trips me out. I'll see you one day, and then the next day I'm like, man, he's on TV in a whole nother state.
Yeah.
How do you work that?
Well, it's funny. So I'm going on, gosh, I guess this is my 8th year with ESPN.
Okay.
And I just work during the football season, so I don't do anything outside it. I'm just doing nothing but a show called Sunday NFL Countdown. And, you know, I've got a great group with me. Sam Ponder is the host, and she is an absolute sweetheart, married to Christian Ponder, the former quarterback.
Okay.
But she really knows her stuff. Her father was a old football coach, and so she's been around the game all her life, you know. And usually everybody's like, literally the first question I got, is she really as good looking as she looks like? Yes, she is.
Yes.
And she's a dang sweetheart. She's knowledgeable and everything else. So this will be our 8th season together, and Randy Moss. So Randy and I, and I hated Randy when I played against him, coached against him. That's my guy. Yeah. Like, me and Randy are super close, like super close. He's going to be coming down, Brewski and him, even though they're former Patriots. Yeah. They're coming down, going to be on my boat when we go out, and they both love to fish. I'm not a big fisherman, but
I got to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Randy, if you want to be on the podcast, man, I know you were a Titan for 1 year.
Yeah, big Randy, yeah.
Please come on, please.
I don't know if Randy's going to do that, but you know what's funny?
Hey, I'm glad you said that, because I always tell folks this. I say it to Mike all the time. All you can do is tell me no.
Yeah, that's it. You know what's funny, though? But we've been literally, we kid each other all the time about, like, I'll be on the cell phone, Rex, this dude, because he's a huge fan of somebody else. Yeah. And then I'll be like, you know, one of his real good buddies, a Pittsburgh fan. Yeah. Well, I was in Baltimore for 10 years, so we'll go back. Yeah, man, you know, we're going back and forth at each other and stuff. But yeah, they're all coming out here in July, and we have a houseboat. Like, I knew nothing about houseboats.
Right.
But one of my buddies had one. I'm like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
And so I ended up buying a houseboat up Center Hill Lake, and my wife and I go out there, and then some of my best friends are out there on the lake. We'll go hang out, and I am a damn expert floater. I'll just come out there. I'll float for hours drinking beer and smoking cigars, whatever. But it's, you know, but I'm finally getting my crew out there.
Right.
You know, so like I mentioned, Teddy Brewski, Randy Moss, Sam Ponder, and then Alex Smith is with us now.
Okay.
Used to be Matt Hasselbeck, and I'm still tight with him. And then we have Adam Schefter, nobody's close to Adam Schefter. This guy's free. He'll have like 8 cell phones. Nobody works harder than this guy. He's freaking on top of it. Yeah. Awesome, fantastic, and a great dude too. And then we have our new betting person, Aaron Dolan.
Okay.
So we have a little segment now, and it's like, this girl's like 20 years old or 25 years old or something, but oh my God, she's like, she'll spit out all these gambling facts and things. And I think that's what, like that, there's such a big, you know, like people, I don't care if you're betting $5, $10, whatever. There's that community out there that just loves betting on games or whatever, but they incorporated her into our show, and she does a really good job too.
Since you said something about betting, I know when, like I said, I've never played football a day in my life, but once you make it to that stature and you go to the NFL, I'm assuming they put you through some type of classes like, hey, one of the things you cannot do is bet.
Right. And it's in every single locker room.
Okay.
You know, so you have those the uniform code, they got that little thing in there, and then they always have that gambling thing. And obviously, you know, you're not going to bet on NFL games, like,
right,
obviously, or whatever. But we've seen a few players get busted on betting other like game, like college, or betting on other things. You just can't do it. You can't do it from the building. Gotcha. And we saw a young man last year, Jamison Williams, get suspended for 6 games. The only reason I know that is because my son's a receiver coach there, and he lost one of his best players for 6 games. So you got to be mindful of it, that's for sure, and you got to educate. I don't think, like, everybody knew the rule, you can't bet on NFL games, obviously.
Right.
But I don't, you know, because they think, oh no, you're legal to bet on other. Well, you can't bet on them in your own building.
Right.
And I think that's what got him. If he would have been 100 feet out of that building, he would have been fine. Yeah. You know, so there's some things to it. And I think we're seeing now they're more educated than they were in the past.
Gotcha.
Back to the at ESPN, you said you're on NFL Countdown.
Yeah.
I catch from time to time, unless me and Cory at the Titans game or whatever. But one of my favorite shows to watch is Get Up.
Oh yeah, great show.
And in particular, it's the Monday after Sunday football.
Yeah.
Because I get to see you, and you. My favorite part is you tell they stink.
Right.
Anybody, gets blown out or it's a bad game, Rex. No, they stink. The team stinks, the coach, whatever it is, I like watching it. You know what I'm saying? So talk about the energy on Get Up with Greeny and everybody.
Greeny's awesome.
Yeah.
Greeny, I mean, that's a Hall of Fame guy. Like when you look at in the business, a true Hall of Famer, that's Mike Greeny.
Yeah.
It ain't even close.
Yeah.
Like he is. And now I've been around it, for a long time.
Yeah.
But the guy is special.
Yeah.
And man, oh man. And on Mondays, I remember going in there and thinking, they're like, just be yourself. Well, I learned how to be myself. And Greeny encourages it, like, Rex, just okay. But he will, he's a great point guard, and he feeds you into. Like, okay, I'm going to let him go here, whatever. And I'm with Dan Orlovsky, and the great thing is, Orlovsky's famous for running out of his own end zone, right? And one we've all seen, the quarterback. But he does a really good job. He's knowledgeable, works his ass off, really good guy. I'm probably infamous for several reasons, but one of them was the butt fumble. Like I called that damn thing. My quarterback went the wrong freaking way. I get it. And then we have Ryan Clark. And me and Ryan were like, you talk about guys that would kill each other. Like I was in Baltimore for 10 years and Ryan was in Pittsburgh. And we were 12. But I love that guy. He is so smart, so witty. And he's tremendous too. So our show, I'd put that show up against anybody. And we'll tell the damn truth. Yeah. And that's the thing where I'm not worried about the next job.
Right.
I'm fortunate to be where I am, but they're paying me to give my opinion.
Exactly.
And here's what it's based on: 30 years of coaching. Been around this game all my life. I've seen a lot of huddles broke in my day. And when I say a guy's overrated as hell, that means he's overrated as hell. You can end up banking on it. Yeah. That kid, the quarterback, Mac Jones. I was sitting back on, for New England, I call him Pea Shooter Jones. And the reason I said that is because he doesn't have the NFL arm talent. Nobody wanted to hear that shit. First year, they actually make the playoffs because Belichick's still there as a coach. Great coach. But we've seen his true colors. This dude can't throw it outside the numbers. He can't extend plays. Like, everything I said is the truth. Yeah. And guess what happens? It ends up being that way. Yeah. Josh Allen, I said, no question, hands down, the best quarterback in this draft class. Wasn't even close. He was taken third overall, the third quarterback that year, like 7th overall. Well, shit, he's a once-in-a-lifetime player.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I've seen them all. I've had to stop all these damn guys. Yeah. That's the one I don't want to face. Yeah. Right. I'll face Baker Mayfield every day of the week, even though Baker's okay, but he ain't better than Josh Allen. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then Sam Darnold, I go, long deliver guys don't make it in this league. Long deliver guy, you can't change his damn the way, mechanically the guy's. I knew he wouldn't make it. Yeah. He's a journeyman. He's not going to do shit in this league. And then so every bit of it, I got criticized. I took we're having a draft one time. They had me involved in that show, which they should have had me forever doing that because nobody loves this game more than I do and follows the players. And I'll never forget they had me in there, and they had some players listed over this guy who's the 5th-rated quarterback. And I said, the New York Giants are going to take this kid, Daniel Jones. Oh, they fell out laughing. How the hell are you going to take Daniel Jones, our 5th-rated quarterback? I go, he ain't my 5th-rated quarterback.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what plays in the NFL. Yeah. This guy's athletic, smart, and he's tough as shit. And by the way, if you did any research on the guy, he played AAU basketball for a guy named Jay Billis who works at ESPN. Yeah. And so what do? I'm just trying to be knowledgeable, prepared. I call Jay Billis. Jay, tell me about this kid. Yeah. He said, well, Rex, first thing I'll tell you is we had a camp with 200 kids. And the kid, good-looking kid, he's like 6'4", 6'5", whatever, had a broken wrist. He goes, damn, I was looking forward to seeing this kid play.
Yeah.
All right? And he can't play, right? He's in the camp. Oh, yes, he did. Who do you think the player of that camp was? Was this kid with a broken freaking wrist? Oh, and by the way, he's stand flat-footed, do a 360 slam dunk. So athletic as hell. They had 2 lottery picks on Jay Billis's AAU team. Uh-huh. Who did they have guard the best player on the other team? Daniel Jones. I'm like, is that, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but right. I'm like, that ought to mean something. And the competitor is number one, the athletic skill set that the kid has, and but that mentality. He said, I go, did you have any problems with him? What was the problem you had with him? He goes, he wouldn't shoot enough. He always wanted to get his teammates involved. Like, that's a freaking quarterback. Yeah. That's who I want a quarterback. Now, look, he's had an up-and-down career mainly because of injuries, and they have nothing around him, never have. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I just keep wanting them to do something for the kid. Give him some weapons. Yeah. Protect him a little bit. Yeah. And let's see this kid. But I knew they would take him, and sure as shit they did. Yeah. And then everybody's like, oh, and I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of like old Babe Ruth, and they called my shot when all you guys were saying no. And I'm like, I called my shot again. But either way, my knowledge of the game, been around the NFL game forever. I also had a comment on, when one of the best college coaches in the history came in to coach in the National Football League, Urban Meyer. What's the first thing I said? Welcome to the big league. Welcome, to the big leagues. Yeah. This is the men's league. Yeah. This ain't the kids' league. And you're going to find out, unless you can adapt, that your shit ain't going to work. Yeah. And I told him that personally. I told him that. He used to come to our camps every now and then. Nick Saban would come. Yeah. Kirby Smart would come. Yeah, I don't know. They came and visit me. I don't know why. But either way, but I told him that. Yeah. And he goes, oh, it's much harder in college. I go, you're out of your mind. All right, because college, recruiting, well, you're talking football to, parents, whatever. That ain't work. Like, okay, work is getting your guys prepared. Yeah. This is a league. This is a week-to-week league. Mm-hmm. In other words, your scheme changes week to week. Those college guys, we want the college guys to come in our leagues. We will beat the living shit out of them. Mm-hmm. If we know this is your system, we will annihilate your system. Right. All right. That's the NFL. You have to be able to change. Yeah. And it's kind of like a pitcher in baseball. If all you got's a fastball, I don't care how fast it is, we're going to light it up. The Major League Baseball hitters will light it up. You better have some kind of, curveball, changeup, whatever to go with it. Uh-huh. And most of these college guys don't. It's a way different league. You're also talking to men instead of kids. All right, and so there's a big difference.
Since you said something about the college game, and I know one of the big things now is NIL.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it sucks. And I mean, I think it's great that the kids can get some money. I think that's fantastic because so many times I've been around it where they don't have any, they can't even get home. Yeah. And it's ridiculous. So I think it's good that we get them some money, but I wish that it would be uniformed. Right. I wish that every kid, let's say if you play Division I, or Power 5 or whatever the hell they call that thing now, give everybody $100,000. Yeah. Don't just give the quarterback $5 million and this kid's making $20,000 or $2,000. It's ridiculous. Like, put them all the same. That's kind of the beauty of college. Yeah. And instead now it's all about how much money can I get. I'm going to go into the transfer portal. Yeah. God forbid you got to work for a position anymore. No. And I think it's bad. I mean, I love the fact that they're giving kids something. I think that's great. Okay, it doesn't have to be under the table anymore. It's out front. That's great. But make it uniform where every kid gets the same thing. Yeah. And then you'll still feel that great sense of camaraderie and I think the fan base is more passionate about it too. That these are, they're representing our school, not just the name on their back. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I think that's a little lost right now with the way they handle the funds to that.
Because I know one thing is when it comes to that whole thing, I hear a lot of coaches from who I know personally, instead of me getting someone straight out of high school, I'm going to just go straight to the portal and find me someone.
Right. And it's, when I was a coach in the NFL, one thing you saw from every single kid on the team was the pride they had in their school.
Yeah.
I think that's diminished now. You may only be in that school for 1 year.
Yeah.
You may be, it's like, what happened to man when that dude was up at 6 a.m. getting better every day in the weight room and working his way up, and the pride that they took graduating, or coming close to graduating, but being a student. Yeah. Now, like, all that seems to be lost to me a little bit.
Yeah, with this generation, they have the mindset of the instant gratification.
Right.
I want the prize now, but they don't understand that it's a process that goes to being great. And, you have those one-offs that, I got some trouble, whatever, so I got to go down to 1AA or FCS. Then you have those where, the ones I don't agree with is like, I ain't getting no playing time. That means you ain't trying to compete, if you're going to leave. Now, granted, before NIL, the Alabamas, when you got 3 5-stars in front of you,
right.
I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like now it's pretty much like trade. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go from Miami to USC. I think who was it? DJ Ukulele that went to Clemson, then Oregon State. Now he's at Florida State.
Yeah.
I don't get it. No, are you competition? What's
well, and that certainly is something that you'll think about it if you're in the NFL about why did this guy leave? He'd have to answer that because one thing you're going to do in the NFL is compete. I don't give a rat's.
Because I tell folks all the time, everyone on the NFL team are professionals.
Right.
All of them.
Every damn one of them.
Even though the guy that's standing on the sideline, they never gets playing time. But at the end of the day, he's still a professional.
Yeah. And absolutely. And, it's funny, but I always tell my team this too. So first round picks, all right, pretty much have everything, right? They got all the skill, the size, speed, talent. They've been successful in college, they're probably smart, all these things. Why is it that there's more players that have a 10-year playing career or more? Why is there more undrafted college free agents than there are first-round picks?
Consistency.
Because somewhere down the line, that guy outworked him. That guy, and you know what? He was driven. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you get this thing, they get that entitlement type stuff, and they're not the same player. Yeah. They're not working as hard as this guy. Because somewhere along the line, that guy passes. And to me, that's the beauty of it. And that's always been the beauty of hard work. And because that's the great equalizer. God maybe never touched, Cory with the size or whatever, but if his work ethic is better than yours, Mike, or mine, he eventually is going to go past us.
I have the speed, though. Well, I had the speed. So that's why I ran track when I was in school.
I don't have anymore,
So we're going to ask you 3 questions. It's going to be our list.
Your
list. The first one, you alluded to it earlier, the top 5 statistical defense all coached by Ryan.
Yeah.
But what are your top 5 defense of all time? Rex's top 5.
I would say, to me, I think the 85 Bears was the best.
Okay.
And the reason I'll say that is they scared the living crap out of you.
Yeah.
All right? So they beat you before you ever played them.
Okay.
And I think they knocked out 10 starting quarterbacks in a row. Now, and granted, the league's a little different right now, you know what I mean? But to me, that was probably the greatest defense, most intimidating defense in the history of the sport. Okay. I think it's undeniable. Now, the 2000 Ravens, it's hard to say we weren't every bit as good as that because we only gave up 10 points a game. Yeah. Now, you think when a team gives up once or twice in a season, they may give up under 10 points. We averaged under 10 points a game. And that carried through the playoffs. So, we would have shut out the Giants, but they returned a freaking kick for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Or we had them shut out in the biggest stage
Right.
there is. So that's impossible to ignore that defense as well. They were phenomenal. The 2006 Ravens led the NFL in more categories than any defense statistically in the history of the game. And that was when I coordinated. We had like 4 guys with at least 9 sacks. We led the league in takeaways. We had 60 sacks that year. We had, so points, least points given up that year. Everything, red zone, third down, you name it. And when you see it, the only reason that defense will never be considered with the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears because we never won the Super Bowl. We got beat by Peyton Manning in a playoff game at home. They kicked 5 field goals. By the way, off of 5 turnovers.
Wow.
5 field goals. And that was Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and all those great players they had.
Yes.
They never scored a touchdown. But we still lost. But that will never be considered with those guys because we never won the Super Bowl. My Jet defense, my first one I went there to the Jets, super proud of that year because we have a rookie quarterback, rookie head coach. We're one of 3 that have ever gone to a championship game with a rookie head coach, first-time head coach, and a first-time quarterback. But what did we do? Well, we rode our defense. Our defense, I inherited a defense. I think people forget this. I inherited a defense that was 23rd in the league. We went to number 1 in the league in damn near every category. And why? Because I had a corner that was a generational talent, a guy named Darrelle Revis. And I said, I'm going to structure my defense around a corner, which is never done. But I was like, I'm going to do it. Wow. And I gave him the hard down every single snap. Kid never bitched. Never bitched. He just lined up and said, all right, let's go. We'll whip your ass. Wow. I put him, and I'll never forget it, first 3 games, or maybe 3 out of the first 4 games, we played 3 Johnsons at receiver. Andre Johnson, Hall of Famer, right? Chad Johnson should have been a Hall of Famer, and Megatron, all right, for Detroit. Yeah. Combined, they never had 100 yards receiving against Darrelle Revis.
Wow, I did not know that.
So when you say the best of all time, I coached the 2 best corners in the history of the game, Darrelle Revis and Deion Sanders. And Deion I had when he was 37 and 38 years old. And he still would play. He still balled.
So what's that, 4?
Yes, 4.
85 Bears,
yeah, those 4. And I would say the steel curtain. Okay. Back to me, the Steelers back with Joe Green, Dwight White, L.C. Greenwood, Ernie Holmes, that defensive line. They had Mel Blount, who changed the game. Before you could hit a receiver all the way down the field. Well, they changed it because nobody could get open against Mel Blount. Mel Blount was huge, and he beat the hell out of you at the line of scrimmage. They had a guy named Donnie Shell. Torpedo Shell was a safety. And, and obviously they had Jack Ham, Jack Lambert. They were absolutely Andy Russell. They were loaded at linebacker. But those defenses were nasty. And I hated Pittsburgh. My dad coached with the Vikings then. They beat the hell out of the Vikings. They beat the hell out of everybody. But I think that defense definitely is in there. And then I think I think you can look at, we had some other good defenses or whatever, but I think if I'm just taking one other one, Denver was really good under Wade Phillips a couple of times, but I would take Tampa. And I think when Tampa, in 2001 or around that time, they had Warren Sapp was the best in the league, and they had
Derrick Brooks.
They had Brooks, who had some unbelievable things. John Lynch, Rodney Barber. He was one of the best nickels in the history of the game. That defense was outstanding, and they were so different. All these defenses were different. You know what I mean? But they were all incredibly effective.
So next one will be, this is probably a little bit tougher than your top 5 defensive players of all time.
Well, I'm going to say Ray Lewis just because I spent 10 years with Ray, and I'm going to start with Ray. Deion Sanders and Darrelle Revis were special. Reggie White, to me, was ridiculous. Reggie White had 21 sacks in 11 games one season. All All right, you could put Reggie anywhere. You can put him at left defensive end. You can put him over the center, which my dad did. He put him over the guards or whatever. No matter where you put him, somebody's going to get their ass kicked.
Right.
Reggie was that good.
Yeah.
Like, he was amazing. I know Bruce Smith has the record, apparently, for most sacks all time. Bruce was outstanding, too. But Reggie, to me, was the all-time greatest defensive lineman ever.
Okay.
And then, Ray Lewis to me was Dick Butkus. It's hard to argue, but Dick Butkus, they never won any Super Bowls. Yeah. But Dick Butkus would rip your face off. Yeah. Like, I always did this. I would always try to recruit guys and even sign when I was a head coach. Yeah. I would bring guys in that I didn't want my son to play against. Well, the head of that would be Dick Butkus. I don't want my kid playing against Dick Butkus, I can assure you. Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor, oh my God. When he came in the league, back in the day, they were blocking him, 3-4 outside linebacker. Every team in the league would block those guys with running backs. Well, that was a joke. Like, he absolutely annihilated running back. Yeah. Where all of a sudden the running back be like, hey, you know what? I got the flu this week. Yeah. He got the Lawrence Taylor flu.
Right.
Bullshit. I'm not facing Lawrence Taylor. Trust me. That would happen all the time. But then it ended up, okay, well, we can't do that. We're going to have to block him with the tackle. Right. Well, the tackle couldn't block him either. It was too fast. Yeah. So they would have two of them block him. But he was, to me, he was that guy. Yeah. So, but those are my top three. And then, like I say, you can put Deion Sanders, Darrelle Revis, in any order you want to put them in. That's fine. I put that one in as the fourth best. And then, I would take a safety. I would say, who's the best safety? Well, again, I'm pretty blessed. I had Ed Reed. Yeah. And Ed Reed, to me, was the greatest ball hawk and played with such great instincts. And not only would he turn you over, but he put it in the end zone. So maybe the best returner of interceptions as well. But I think he was probably the best free safety, but the best strong safety has to be Troy Polamalu. Like, to me, he was an amazing guy. All right? But I have to be fair to this other player.
Okay.
All right? And I never saw him play. I've just seen, videos of this player. His name was Dick Night Train Lane. And they called him Night Train because so many people would quit. Yeah. And they would catch the night train home because they didn't want to go up against the student practice.
Yeah, I've heard stories about Dick Night Train.
Oh, my God.
A hitter.
And when you see the hits that this guy did, that he delivered, oh, my God. And he also, by the way, led the NFL in interceptions a few times. Like, he was ball skills and hitting ability. There probably was nobody better than Dick Night Train Lane. Yeah. So I think that would be my five guys.
Yeah, me personally, and this is just me, my opinion, Lawrence Taylor is the greatest football player, just from skill, dominance. Like, he's the best. To me, a quarterback shouldn't always be considered the best. Like, you got to go off how dominant you are. And Lawrence Taylor, I say Deion because he cuts off a whole field. And then, to your point, you structure the whole defense around
Darrelle Revis,
a corner. Like, if people don't know that highlights how great of a player you are. So, in my opinion, a defensive player has the right to be the greatest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can tell you who affects winning more than anybody.
Quarterback.
That's that damn quarterback.
Quarterback, yeah, you're right.
And ain't nobody better than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's
True,
like,
yes.
Patrick Mahomes might be closing in on, but he ain't better than Tom Brady.
I can't debate, 7 Super Bowls?
Yeah, and by the way, how many playoff wins, how many championships did he get to? Like, this guy, and I faced them all.
Yeah.
I faced them all, and he was, my record would be a hell of a lot better if I didn't have to face him and Peyton Manning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my record sucked against those two guys. Yeah. Well, you know what? So did everybody else.
Right.
You weren't 500. Yeah, because I got my ass kicked twice a year by Tom Brady and freaking Peyton Manning. Yeah. Like, if I never had to face them, my record would be great. Because I used to kick the shit out of the average quarterback.
Yeah. So this one's going to be pretty funny. this is more so on the coaching side. Your top 5 funniest coaching meltdowns. It's a lot of them.
I've had a couple of them. But
You can use yourself.
yeah, no, I've had a few of them. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But
The funniest.
yeah, the funniest. I mean, the Denny Green was hilarious when he sit back saying the Bears are who he thought they were, and all that type of stuff. Like, I thought that was great because he had that damn game won. It was a Monday night game. He had that damn game won and got beat. So, and I always loved Denny Green. Remember, I told that story about sending out resumes to every Division I school in the country and never got a call back. When I got fired in Arizona, I did the same thing with every NFL coach. There's one guy that called me back, and that was Dennis Green. One guy. And, so, I mean, I got all the respect in the world for him. Some other ones, Parcells is a classic. Parcells was freaking great. He was a mentor of mine too, which is funny. But I came in for an interview for the head coaching job with Miami when he was out there and running their program. Even though I knew that everybody knew the job was going to go to Tony Sperano, who later worked with me with the Jets. But anyway, everybody knew they were going to give the job. But I'm like, I'm going to go meet Bill Parcells and just talk to him and whatever. Man, we hit it off like you can't believe. In fact, I think he was close to saying, the hell with it, I'm going to hire him. You know what I mean? Like, he knew I was his kind of people. And he certainly, but I can't tell you how much I learned from him. And things that you don't think of. How do you handle your practice squad players? Who do you put on your practice squad? How do you handle the end of your roster? Who is in those spots? To the point, your offensive line. Like, who should be on that team? What's it look like? I learned so much from him. Size, speed, league, all that type of stuff. Those variables count. Don't chase the exception. Let somebody else be the smart, the genius and chase the exception. Because out of the one time that exception works, 9 misses. You know what I mean? So he was brilliant that way. I learned so much from him. But he was a guy that would, I always loved it. Obviously my dad punching an assistant coach on his own team, like that's got to be way up there. It might be, that's got to be way the hell up there. Would be one. Dick Vermeil crying after everything. Look, I'm an emotional guy too. I cry, but I do it in front of my team, not in front of the whole country as much. But I obviously, had a ton of respect for him as well. And it's funny, but guys are that way. Mike Tomlin's one of my favorite guys right now because Mike and I were very similar. And I remember every time we would play him, we would meet 50-yard line. And I knew my team was more physical than his team, and he knew his team was more physical than my team. And we'd be like, hey, you know who's going to win this one? The most physical team. And we'd be talking shit to each other. And it was like, but we were good with it.
Right.
I had nothing but love and respect for him. But those are, that one. And then Belichick, there's no way to ignore that. Like, he was a great football coach, man. And, I remember from jump when I said, I'm taking this job. I'm not here to kiss his rings. I'm here to kick his ass. And that was me. There was one guy who was coming in that league that wasn't afraid of Bill Belichick, and that was me. And never have been, never will be. Doesn't mean I don't respect him, because I respected him more than any coach that I ever faced. But he knew he was going to get my best. Sometimes it wasn't good enough, but he damn sure knew he was going to get my best.
That's what's up, Rex, man. We appreciate your time and the conversation, the stories. I definitely learned a lot today.
Same here. I just had one other question, though.
All right.
And mine, once again, it's around cigars.
Yep.
He had his top 5 defensive. I have my top 5 cigars. What are your top 5?
Well, see, again, I'm and it's kind of like once you find yours, I don't deviate.
Right.
So to me, I'm a Byron guy. I like the Olivas smokes and things, but that doesn't mean I can't have an Ashton or something like that, or I can't have different kinds, because I enjoy all of them.
Yeah.
But for me, that Byron, there's no comparison to it.
You hear it, Byron. You hear it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You hear it. It's only less than a handful of places here in the city that carry your brand.
Yeah.
Once again, I would love to carry your brand on the Rollin Humidor.
There's only one that I know of, Cory.
I do too.
Yeah,
it's only one that I know of as well.
And they don't have many because I usually buy them up.
That's what's up.
Yes,
we definitely definitely know what bourbon you love.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take another sip.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite bourbon too.
I'm telling you, it's one, and I told you before about how, because I'm a Blanton guy, but when I had this for the first time, I was like, damn, this thing, like this is it. There's another one too. There's some brothers thing.
Yes.
Bro Brothers out of Kentucky.
No, this is actually out of Colorado.
Okay.
Oh.
And it was I forget the damn name, because they're hard to find.
Okay.
And it's like it starts with a C, and I think there's a little story behind them and things like that. And this goes back into back in the day when they were bootlegging and all that stuff. But either way, Calabro Brothers or something like that, it'll shock you when you have it. It drinks smooth and all that type of stuff. But it was somebody sent me a bottle one day, and I had it sitting in my bar forever.
Yeah.
And so when guests come over, I ain't gonna put my Blantons out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Put this little thing out there. All of a sudden, my buddy's like, "Hey, what is that? Like a $5,000 bottle of bourbon?" I go, "What?" I drink it. I'm like, "Oh, this is damn good." Things like that. So those are kind of my go-to things. I'm not good at, I'm dyslexic, so I'll screw a damn name up left and right. But I'll get it in there, and those are my three. So this one right here.
Okay.
And then, but you get the Blantons, and you get the little Calabro Brothers or whatever out of Colorado. Those are my three bourbons.
Because I can say this, and I haven't even mentioned this to Mike. I'm buying this bottle for you. This one yours. This is his third batch. That's yours.
Well, I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yes,
now,
yes,
thank
yes,
you.
Yes.
That thing
Guys,
is
make
legit.
sure you get your bottle of Reverence Bourbon. The third batch is out right now. We are statewide in Tennessee and also nationwide. Online at Reverence Enterprises. We ship direct to consumer, all 48 legalized states except for Utah and Tennessee. So make sure you guys go grab a bottle of Reverence Bourbon.
And once again, it was a pleasure to have you on.
You know that.
No doubt, Rex.
Yes. You guys stay tuned for our next episode. If you forgot the name of the podcast, PSSITA, put some smoke in the air.